So we have just came across another historical marker. As you guys know, we do a lot of historical things, a lot of historical markers, monuments. This is actually a marker of the surrender of Confederate troops on May 12th, 1865. So Brigade General William or W.M.T. Wolford arranged with Brigade General Henry M. Judah, USA, for the surrender of some 3,000 to 4,000 Confederate soldiers, mostly Georgians, not paroled in Virginia, North Carolina, and elsewhere. During final negotiations, General Wolford's headquarters were at the McCabery Johnson residence on Church Street. General Jehoah Judah headquarters were at Spring Bank, the home of the Reverend Charles Wallace Howard, which is 2 miles north of Kingston. Rations were supplied to the Confederate soldiery by the federal commissions. So this is pretty neat, to say the least. To see that we really haven't seen a marker for the surrendering of Confederate troops. A lot of times we've seen different ones about troops moving in or a Confederate hospital.
Yeah.
So this one's actually pretty cool. But with that being said, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and load back up and start heading down the road and see what else we can find. But with that being said, I can't thank enough and I can't express enough how much I appreciate everybody viewing the videos and supporting me, and also supporting my YouTube channel as well. But with that being said, I'm going to talk to you guys again soon. So we are here at another historical marker. We are in the town of Kingston, Georgia. This is the house site of Thomas B. Harrigan's, uh, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This was Major General William T. Sherman's headquarters from May 19th through the 23rd, 1864. Sherman occupied the Harrigan's house for 3 days of reorganization of forces in the campaign that ended at Atlanta. Assuming that Johnston's army had moved from Adairsville directly on Kingston and the river crossing south, May 18th led Sherman to concentrate his forces here, only to discover that Johnston had gone directly to Cassville, where, without making a stand, he retreated to Alatoona May 20th. Sherman countered May 23rd by moving due south. So that is that marker right there. If we take a walk down here, there's a couple other markers as well. There's a hospital marker right over here in someone's actual yard. So
This is so cool. It's little things you can find in these little towns, isn't it?
yeah, and then that's downtown Kingston, I believe. Some of downtown Kingston, not all of it, but you know
A
what I'm saying.
little old little town, ain't it?
It's a very historical town.
I can see that.
This right here that we are coming up on is the Andrew Raiders. If you guys are not familiar of the Andrew, maybe if you're not familiar of the Andrew Raiders, they are the ones that ended up capturing the General locomotive during the Civil War. Um, and at this location on April 12th, 1862, James J. Andrews with the 18th Ohio Soldiers in disguise and one civilian, having seized the locomotive General at Big Shanty, which is in Kennesaw, intending to wreck the state railroad, were forced to sidetrack here and wait for southbound freights. After a long delay, the General continued north. Pursuing from Big Shanty, Captain W.A. Fuller, which was the conductor at the time, Jeff Kane, who was the engineer, and Anthony Murphy, using a push car, reached the Etowah, where the engine Yoho brought them to Kingston. Pursuit was resumed on the Rome Railroad, the locomotive W.M.R. Smith. So a little bit about Andrew Raiders. Eventually, when they was captured, They were eventually hung at the site of what is Oakland Cemetery in Atlanta, and then their bodies was taken up to Chattanooga National Cemetery, where they are at peace and at rest at the moment, are now. Um, and they also donated a train monument, uh, or the state of Ohio created a train monument uh, that is placed in the middle of their graves, which circle the monument. I do have a video of me up there at Chattanooga National Cemetery. I will place that in the or in the description so you guys can check that video out. It was a pretty cool little video. It was cold that day, but it was still worth the trip and learning about the history. Um, then you got a little bit of the old town of Kingston. Right there, that white building right there is the Kingston Museum of Women. Actually, it's actually a women history of Kingston. Um, the history speaking on the women of Kingston. So it's pretty different. Um, and then we are coming up to, I'm not sure what this is. So we haven't been in Kingston a lot. So we haven't done a lot of history on Kingston. So, you're just kind of driving through the area and decided to do a couple videos. Because we can't really magnet fish at the moment because a lot of rain's been coming through the Georgia area. But right here is honoring our veterans in memory of Mayor Margot Martin, Nellie Margaret Harrison Appel, dedicated in 2007, the Kingston Veterans Monument vision in 1999 by Mrs. Nellie Margaret Harris. Appel stands in honor of the lives of 400 brave men and women who served their country with valor, honor, and dignity. So this is the memorial of our armed forces that has fought in multiple different wars. You have World War II World War I right here, and then it has names of some of the men from this area that fought in World War One, and then it kind of just goes around again. You have World War II, um, uh, prayer for peace. So here's the prayer of peace um, for the military. So that's pretty cool. And then the last two that you see on the wall is Korea and Vietnam. And and then I'm not sure if there's other ones on the backside. So that is a little bit, but you know that we've had other wars prior to these as well. But any male woman who has served their country and has served their county or city, we honor them and always keep them in our minds every time because they do give us the freedom to be able to bring this content to you guys and be able to explore these different areas and learn about our country's history.
So that little over here is where his headquarters was at. These
No,
house
right over there. The house actually stood right over there.
right here.
It was destroyed at one point.
Oh, it was right there.
Yeah.
Where the plaque is at.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So here's the funny thing.
History.
The stump by history. So this is the history timeline of all of that stuff. So it's actually, I guess it's like all of the history.
Oh wow, that's so crazy.
That's pretty cool.
That's neat how they put that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool how they put it.
Yeah.
And if you
This keeps going
you don't even have to be like a history buff to really have like a bunch of fascination with it, but it's pretty cool. Like right there. How many people is gonna know that in 1960, first 50-star U.S. flag was debuted in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then like KWHC secures an acre of state-owned land for the city of Kingston for the purpose of erecting a Civil War museum. I mean, that's pretty cool, you know. Um, it's it's funny to know all this history, you know. It's oh, this is pretty cool.
That's something else. What is it?
Yeah, that's
What's
okay.
it?
So look, that right there, that little building right there is Kingston's Confederate Museum.
What?
Yeah, because it tells you right here. Look, Civil War Museum, Kingston's rich historical past. So right here, the Civil War Museum during the 1860 term of the Georgia General Assembly, former state representative Henry A. Kelver and Woodrow Bradley secured an acre of land for the city of Kingston for the purpose of erecting a Civil War memorial museum. The Kingston History Club accepted the deed to the acre of land on behalf of the city with the provision that the club had 10 years in which to build a museum. Otherwise, the land would revert back to state ownership. So, yeah, right here, look. On April 25th, 1971, the new Civil War Museum was presented to the public at an open house after the Confederate Memorial Day service. So they opened that up in on a Confederate Memorial Day service back in 1971. And then that over there is the women's history. But see, like right here, Martha Mullenix Annex, this is the Women's History Club. So that's pretty cool. And then the Veterans Monument that we just seen.
Yeah.
And then like this is City Park, so, and then we just seen that. And then see that's what you were wondering about right over there, the Wayside.
Yeah.
Look, see, in 1861, first Wayside home, because of its rail connections during the Civil War, Kingston became not only a supply center but also a refuge for sick and wounded soldiers. The first Wayside home was established here in 1861. A local gentleman named Doc Tippin brought to the attention of ladies of the Soldiers' Aid Society that the sick and wounded soldiers who had to wait overnight outside the depot for connecting trains had no place to go to get out of the weather, nor a place to sleep or food to eat. The ladies secured vacant stores, provided comfortable beds, and cooked meals at their own expense. Over 10,000 sick and wounded troops were served until the retreat of the Confederate Army and Federal Hospital was established. Kingston became known as the first Wayside home in a system from Georgia to Virginia. And then Sherman occupies um, Kingston, you know.
Mhm.
And then look, see, from slavery to First Lady, Mavelin Shields. Born a slave in South Carolina, Mavelin was bequeathed to Henry Shields, who lived in Clayton County, Georgia. At age 16, Mavelin gave birth to a son, Dolphus Shields, who was fathered by Henry's son Charles. Mavelin eventually moved to Kingston, Georgia, where she spent the remainder of her life working as a midwife. And Kingston residents knew her fondly as Mattie McGritter. Dolphus Shields moved to Birmingham and became a successful businessman. Later, Dolphus descendants settled in Chicago, where his great great grandfather, or granddaughter, Michelle Robinson, was born. Michelle married Barack Obama, who was elected president. So That is Michelle Obama.
Really?
Yeah, because see, look, Dauphin's descendants settled in Chicago, where his great-great-granddaughter,
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
Michelle married Barack Obama. So
Whoa.
yeah, so that's probably in one of the cemeteries over here somewhere. I'm not really sure.
It looks like it would be. Yeah. Wow, there's a lot of info out here, ain't there?
And then there's that marker of the Wayside.
There's a lot of history in this little town.
Yeah.
Like loads of it. This is the site of a Kingston's Wayside home. The first. Oh, that is so cool.
10,000 sick and wounded Confederate soldiers received necessary medical attention.
In this little house right there,
Yeah.
and people live there. That is so cool. I would love to be living in that little house. You know,
Yeah. All right, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the video. We're gonna walk down to the car and see what else we can see on the way to where we're supposed to meet up with my mom or whatever. But with that being said, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude it. And I hope that you guys enjoy the video, and make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. All right, you guys, so we are here at another marker. This is Hardy's Corps at Kingston. On May 18th, 1864, Lieutenant General W.M.J. Hardy's AC marched from Adairsville on the road parallel to the State Railroad, turning east on this road to join Pope's and Hood's Corps at Cassville, which had been moved on the direct Adairsville-Cassville road. Sherman's error in assuming that all of the Johnston's army had marched from Adairsville as Hardy had to Kingston caused him to order his forces concentrated here, discovering later that the Confederate army was 5.5 miles east at Cassville and not at the river south of Kingston. So that's them moving into Cartersville, Cassville. Really, Cassville is on the outskirts of Cartersville.
Which is that way, right?
Yeah.
It's one of these ways.
Yeah. I think it said parallel, so somewhere in this area.
Probably that way.
And then right here we have the Federal Army. This one's talking about
Federal?
the Federal Army, which on May 19th, 1864, the 4th, allowed by the 14th AC, reached Kingston at 8 a.m. The 4th turned east to Cassville. A division of the 14th went to Gilliam's Bridge, Etowah River. Finding no retreating Confederates, Johnston forces were at Cassville, 5.5 miles east. McPherson's 15th and 16th Corps moving south from Barnsley camp on Woolly Plantation 2 miles west. 4th, 20th, and 23rd at Cassville. Sherman's forces encamped to May 23rd when advance across the Etowah began of the three bridges, Malian and Gilliam and Woolian. Only Malian's was burned by the Confederates. So basically, I know I'm probably butchering these names.
These names are kind of off.
But there was three bridges. So you have this one, you have this one, and then you have this one. This one was burned by the Confederates. So one of the bridges was eventually burned by the Confederates, probably in an effort to probably prevent the Federals from, getting over the bridge and getting their supplies over. But with that being said, you guys, I want to go ahead and load up in the car and see what other stuff we can see on our way to Cartersville. But with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoy the video and stay tuned.